Okay, so this is the part where I tell my story. So I must admit I'm a little bit nervous because obviously I've not done this so publicly before. I've spoken to my family and some close friends and partners about this, but never gone out with this just like that. And initially I thought, why not write about it first? Because a lot of people sort of post their stories, their written stories, and I thought, well, if I'm going to go out with it, I might as well just do it on camera. So there we go. So where to begin? I guess first I'd like to say that I do tell this story without much emotion. The reason for that being is because, well, I've previously told it. I've been able to tell this to some close friends and family, so it's not like I'm talking about this for the first time. And the second reason is because I've sort of blocked that experience out of my mind, in the sense that even though I remember it all, it doesn't feel like it actually happened to me. So it kind of feels like it was a nightmare once upon a time, and I kind of have to sort of remind myself that this actually happened. So that's sort of the reason why I talk about it without feeling any emotions anymore. Of course I did at the time, and for the first 2-3 years I couldn't go through the story without crying, but now it's sort of, my mind sort of blocks it out, in the sense that it's kind of like a nightmare and I can't really relate to it. It's more as if this happened to someone else. So yeah, that's sort of the reason for that. But anyhow, so I guess I'll start with the beginning. So basically I was 18 and I'd just gotten accepted to university for a degree, and it was Freshers Week. So Freshers Week, for those of you who don't know, is the week where all the newcomers kind of get to know each other, and there's a lot of activities and it's a lot of partying, and just it's kind of like an introductory week for the new undergraduates. And basically I didn't know anyone because I was coming all the way from Finland, and I went to the student pub alone, and I just got a drink thinking, well, maybe somehow I'm gonna meet some people. And I did actually. So this guy came up to me and he started talking to me, and we basically invited me to come and sit with his friends, which was really nice because honestly I felt kind of a bit alone by myself, I guess. So it was very nice to sit with some people and get to know some people, and we got chatting, and basically he introduced me to his friend Callum. And I quickly realised that we were all actually in the same class, so we were all going to the same courses, and that was again a relief, because obviously it's a bit daunting when you're out to a new place, you don't know anyone. So that was very nice. And then so basically I started hanging out with that group quite a lot, because we'd see each other during the course. So in class every day we'd sit next to each other, and we'd go out in the evenings and during the weekends, the pub, nightclubs, just playing pool, etc. So just it was kind of just like a normal group of friends I had at uni. And I'd now gotten to know these people for about 3 months. So this was November at this stage, and one night in November, I guess I should kind of sort of explain a little bit about Callum. So Callum and I never hanged out alone together, but we were always together within the group, and he always used to sit next to me, and we had a very good sort of joking relationship. I consider him as a good friend. I'm the person who likes to joke a lot, and I like good banter and just laughing, and he was definitely someone I could do that with. And he also sort of took the kind of role of the big brother, in the sense that he always took care of me and made sure that I got a taxi home, and always would have comments like, well, don't go out after this time, or you don't know who's out there, etc. So yeah, he was kind of like this guy who would protect me, and who I could have a really great time with, just some great banter, and and good fun, and made me laugh, and yeah, so I wouldn't say we were like really close friends. I mean, I'd only known him for 3 months, but we were definitely good friends, and on a few occasions we'd spoken about more personal topics. So we're definitely, you know, getting more close in that sense. And one day one night in November, late November, I got a text message from Callum saying, "Are you home? I need to talk to someone." And that kind of got me worried, because I thought, you know, Callum's not the type of guy to really send that kind of message. So there's definitely something wrong. So I texted back, of course, saying, you know, yeah, sure, like, do you need me to come over? Like, do you want to talk? And of course he responded, yes, like, do come over. So that's what I did. And he lived about two student flats away from mine, so it took me about 3 minutes to get there. And when I did get there, he opened the door, and I could straight away see that he was really nervous and agitated. And I thought something seriously must have gone wrong, because he was just acting a little bit off and weird. So I got even more worried, and asked him what was wrong, and that's when he decided to take me to his room, and so we could talk there. And so he leads me to his room, and then he shuts the door and he locks the door. And he quickly responds by saying that, you know, people come in, and that's why he's locking the door, because, you know, people have barged in before. And I thought it was a little bit weird the way he did it so fast, and he needed to explain himself. But then again, like, I had that happen to me, like people just barging in the middle of the night. I mean, it's uni, and you know, people have a bit to drink, and it was a bit strange, but it wasn't too weird. So I kind of just overlooked that in a sense. And then basically I remember sitting on his bed, and I think he was very quiet initially, and I just asked him, like, what's wrong? And he said, well, I can't tell you. And I thought, okay, well, that's very strange. But I said, well, you know, you can tell me anything, like, we're friends. And that's when he sort of said, oh, like, I really like you. And he put his arm around my waist. And then he quickly removed his arm and just proceeded to say, oh, sorry. And I thought, well, I just said that's okay, but, you know, I sort of explained, because I was in a relationship at that point. He was in a relationship, and I was quite happy with the guy I was with, and I didn't feel that way about Callum anyway. So I just sort of said, you know, I'm really sorry, but I don't feel that way, and I really, you know, enjoy our friendship, etc. And then he kind of went quiet, and then all of a sudden the topic switched dramatically. So all of a sudden he started talking about how it's really strange topic, how basically his girlfriend was unsatisfying sexually, and that she wasn't willing to do things, and that he needed to do those things, and if he didn't do those things, well, he's gonna go looking for them elsewhere. I thought this was very strange, because first of all, well, you know, everyone has their issues, but this was really clearly nothing to do with me. And I didn't really have any advice for him on that, so I decided to just... initially I tried to change the topic, and more and more I started to realise that something was very off, because he was just acting really strange, and I couldn't decide, had he been drinking or what was going on. But even though I tried to change the topic, he just kept talking about it, and I thought, well, this is it, like, I need to get out of here, because this is getting a bit too weird. So then I remember just telling him that, yeah, I really need to go, to which he kind of just stared at me blankly and didn't really say anything. So I thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna hug him, so he realizes that that's it, like, I'm going. And basically I proceeded to hug him, and I don't really remember what happened between that. There's just that little blank in my mind about what happened, because one moment I was hugging him, the next I was being pushed onto his bed, his weight on me, and being prevented from leaving. So it happened in sort of a snapshot. And at that point I was thinking, what is happening? Like, what is going on? And I sort of look up at Callum, and he's got the most blank, dark stare I've ever seen in my life. I can't even describe it. It was as if there's no soul there. It's just dark. And I mean, this was someone that I considered as a friend, but I must say, just when I saw that look, I knew exactly what was going to happen. There was no doubt in my mind. And it was just as if it was gone. I mean, the person I knew was gone. There was just this darkness in his eyes, and this anger. And then I remember, because at that point I realized what was going to happen, and your mind thinks like, how the hell is this happening? I mean, one moment you're chatting with a friend, the next you're being held against your will, and you're about to get raped. So I just, my mind couldn't even process what was happening. So I remember just saying straight away, when after like just looking at him, I was like, please no, please no. And then following that up with, you're going to regret this. To which he basically answered, no, I'm not. And he did it with sort of a smirk on his face, as if this was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever said in my life. And then after that, he basically forcefully pulled me off the bed, and he started yelling at me. He started getting really, really angry. And of course, at that moment, you're panicking. You're thinking, how is this happening? Like, you can't believe it. You don't know how to even react. Your brain's trying to process this whole event. And I basically, again, trying to just knock some sense into him, just pleading with him, please no, like, stop. At which point he just gets angrier and angrier. And then he asks me to undress myself. And I really couldn't do it. I really, really couldn't do it. No matter how much he shouted at me, no matter how much he just yelled and told me to undress myself, I couldn't, because if I started to undress myself, that was the point where I admitted defeat, and that's the point where, this was going to happen. As long as I had my clothes on, I was not getting raped. So the idea of starting to undress was just, I physically couldn't do it. I was just frozen to the floor. I was very well frozen, just standing there. And that's when he got angry and he decided to undress me instead, which he did. So at this point I was completely unclothed. And at one point he lets go of me because he needs to undress himself. And that's the point where I decided, well, I'm going to run to the door and try and get out. And I did, and I got the door halfway open, but it just wasn't fast enough. And he arrived and he just slammed the door shut, locked it again, and was just so angry that I tried to escape. So he threw me to the ground, at which point I started just screaming for my life. And that's when he held my throat and decided that, basically telling me that, I better shut up because otherwise he's going to snap my neck. And he held me quite tight. Basically telling me that he was going to just basically kill me if I didn't stop screaming. And that's the point where I decided, right, well, okay, I need to calm down because now I need to get myself out of this situation. So then I stopped screaming and I thought, okay, well, I need to deal with this. This is happening one way or another. And that's really the point where I decided, well, this is going to happen. And I need to just deal with it. So then he basically picked me off the floor and he started leading me to the bathroom. And again, I tried one last attempt to sort of plead with him, try to get any emotional response, trying to just get any reaction that was human from him. But he just got even more angry at that, just so angry at that. So then I was led to the bathroom and I decided, well, this is going to happen. I need to accept it. And that was the point where I made the decision that, okay, yes, I'm about to get raped, but the important point here is that I get out alive. So this is going to happen. I've accepted this, but I need to get out here alive. That's all that counts from now on. So I don't really want to go into the process of actually what happened in that bathroom. So I was held probably there for, it's difficult to say, but I think an hour and a half, at least, maybe 2 hours. And of course a very, very traumatic experience. So I don't want to go into the details of what actually happened in terms of the sexual act. But that's obviously important to go through with a professional and with, for example, I've spoken to this with a partner, because it is important to discuss it and talk about this. But I won't be talking about it in public because I just think that's unnecessary. So I won't go through that. What I will say is basically, yeah, I was there for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that's the point where I decided that I'm going to get out of here. It doesn't matter what it takes. I'm just going to get out of here. So I decided that I was going to do exactly what he told me to do, and I did. But the issue was that he wasn't getting any calmer. He was actually getting more angry and more violent. And I thought, shit, if this is not good, because I don't know if he's actually going to release me after this. If he doesn't, release me, then, I mean, the other option is basically just kill me there. And I couldn't stand that. So I decided that I'm actually going to try and take control of the situation, and make him believe that I was okay with what was happening, that I had a great crush on him, and I've always wanted this, and just to make him believe that there was no way that I was going to go to the police, and that I was fine and there was nothing to worry about, that he could let me go and there would be no issues for him. So that's what I did. I spent basically 2 hours trying to convince him of that, and I think he started to believe it in a sense. He never calmed down. He was always very angry and violent, but it sort of got slightly better, which was encouraging for me. But at some point I had to ask him straight out, because I thought, if I'm doing all of this and he still decides to kill me, then what was this for? I mean, this would be the worst way to go. At least, like, if I'm going to go, then I should put up a fight. And I decided, well, I'm gonna try, and I just need that small sign to know, is he going to release me or not? And I sort of asked the question of, well, what happens after this? Like, are you going to go back to your ex, or can we start seeing each other, just to sort of see what he was thinking? At which point he just told me that, no, I was just here for this. This is the reason why he brought me here, and this was my purpose. That was it. So I thought, okay, well, that didn't really help me out. But then I thought, I came to the point where I just needed to ask straight out, are you going to hurt me? And I did. And he said to me, no, I'm not going to hurt you as long as you do exactly what I tell you to do. And of course threatened me with knowing where I live and etc., that he could kill me at any point. And so, yeah, but that was sort of my little ticket of, like, okay, my little ticket of hope, like, there is a chance that I'm going to get out of this. And that sort of gave me the courage to just keep doing what I was doing and just make him believe that this was fine. Eventually, it all stopped. It became really silent, and I realized that it was over. And at that point, you're thinking, I mean, it's a relief, because you're thinking, like, finally it's over. But then you start to panic again, because you realize that what comes next? This is the stage where he decides what to do with you. And I remember trying to be very calm about the situation. He sort of got up, sat on the bed, and just stared blankly at the wall. And I tried to keep just talking to him, because at this moment I had to make that decision, because the door was right behind me and I could have just run for it. But I thought, if he catches me again, that's it. He is not going to let me go again, and that he is definitely going to kill me there, because he knows I'm going to run to the police and I'm going to tell people. So I decided to try and be very calm about it, and just put my clothes on calmly, and that was probably the most petrifying experience of my life, because I thought, Jesus, like, this is the point where I could just run for it. But I decided to just be calm, put my clothes on, try and just make conversation, and you just start to say, what have I done, what have I done? That got me even more panicked, but I kept that calm face, and I just said, I've had a great time, like, I need to go now because it's late, and I just stepped out of the door, just telling him that I'd see him tomorrow. And then once I shut that door, I just ran for it. So that was really it. That's the story. And as I said, as you can see, I talk about it with quite, no real emotions. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. But there we go. That's my story. And I hope this will encourage others to speak about their story. So yeah.